Hello and welcome to the Popcorn Junkies. Most of our trailer reactions don't look like we've been taken hostage or we're prisoners or anything like that. Do apologise for the two mattresses on the left there. We're kind of camping out. Anyway, this is a trailer reaction to The Skeleton Crew, which is a new teaser or new trailer for a DisneyPlus series part within the Star Wars cinematic universe. Now, I know so many of you aren't Star Wars fans, and I don't think Star Wars has done much to ingratiate themselves with all of their new series. Everyone just feels like, oh God, is it more of the same? Is it wandering around? Lots of kind of, I don't know, sandy planets. The Mandalorian, first series, great. Love Grogu, the first feature film, or the next new feature film in the Star Wars world is going to be The Mandalorian and Grogu. Personally, I don't think that's the right move, and I don't think that's necessarily going to be right, because I think they've kind of rinsed The Mandalorian already in the countless Disney Plus series. Now, Andor, which was a sort of Rogue One spin-off, The Acolyte, interesting, intriguing. I've watched some of each of those series and I've enjoyed them, but nothing's kept pulling me back. I have to say, I think the specialness of Star Wars is in a troubling place, if I'm honest. So, but what makes me excited about this one, The Skeleton Crew, is this feels like an outlier. This feels like this could be one of those sort of creations within the Star Wars universe, which is so of its own and so sort of slightly parked outside the normal rationale, though it sits within that period of time that The Mandalorian set around the Return of the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So it's located, obviously, for Star Wars purists, at a point in the story, in the history, in the universe. But this also speaks to this show, as I understand it, looking at all the press and all the chat and all the excitement around it, this speaks to making a Star Wars film that has at its epicenter the DNA of the Goonies. So, you know, that sort of adventurous and adventuresome type Spielbergian romp that's about kids, but not just for kids. And so, as I understand it, this series, this new show, The Skeleton Crew, is going to have that sort of childlike Goonies aspect to it. Now, the big name in there that we all know and love is Jude Law. And whilst this is kid-friendly, and let's not forget, George Lucas always made the Star Wars films, as he said, for 11-year-olds. So the fact that there's a whole bunch of us 50-year-olds all getting a bit hot under the collar because it doesn't feel right, Star Wars is meant for kids. So if I'm honest, I want to give this a crack of the whip. I think this could have a different energy, this could have a different vibe. I hope it's not too childlike. Let me give an example. Willow, the series, Time Bandits, the series, both of them tried to self-consciously kind of create what they think the sort of modern day version of those so brilliant sort of original films should have been today, and they got them wrong. See, the thing is, you can make something like The Goonies, it can take off, it can work, and it can be a success. But you can't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean that the producer, of which Kathleen Kennedy was one of them, necessarily knows exactly what it was that made it such a hit. You can think you know, but you might not know. So without further ado, I think we need to check this out. Now, directors across this series include Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, who did Everything Everywhere All at Once and Swiss Army Man. As soon as I saw their names attached to this, I thought, they could be good for a kind of Star Wars feature film, couldn't they? And David Lowery is in there, who did The Green Knight. I think he also did A Ghost Story. I think he did a recent Peter Pan, which was a bit odd. But anyway, David Lowery, interesting. Auteurs, they've got some auteurs in there, which could make this interesting, I think. So let's check it out.
Tomorrow's test will set the course of your entire future.
Don't you ever want to do anything exciting? Like what? What if we could go anywhere we want in the whole galaxy? A real adventure. No more pretend. I found something buried in the woods. What do you think it is?
I think it's a lost Jedi temple. Hello?
Be careful where you step.
dangerous out there in space. Trust no one.
You're a Jedi.
Jude Law's a Jedi. Always sort of felt he was a Jedi. Do you know what I mean? Always sort of looked at him and thought, you've got Jedi qualities about your head. So, sort of aiming for the Goonies, right down to the hole in the ground, and then you had E.T. going through the woods, then you had the kind of E.T. neighbourhood, and then you had the Goonies neighbourhood. I mean, interestingly, where it was set was a sort of suburbia, wasn't it? Not entirely dissimilar to the very same suburbia that George Lucas himself grew up in, and I filmed it. It looked identical. This is, straight out. So, but then my first moment of concern was when we cut to a kind of creature with an elephant head, and you just thought, I don't know, it's in danger of just becoming a bit Sesame Street. Even with the kind of cleverness of, the kind of the puppets and the monsters and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yes, it was a bit cheap in the original films, but I don't think they meant it to be cheap. So you try to invest the cheapness of the characters and the creatures with grown-up significance. And this is clearly twee. It's clearly twinkly. Very the Goonies, right down to the kind of, the skeleton's head crumbling at the point that they got in there. Adventure, dare and do, all that kind of stuff. I think very much speaking to genuinely a much younger kind of audience. I'm not entirely sure if I can be convinced by tiny kids flying great big spaceships and things like that. But what do you think, guys? Are you going to be watching?